Welcome back to the attic. My machine learning model has been profitable every month this year, and August has already gotten off to a great start. Today, I'll be betting all of the model favorites for UFC Vegas 109. These bets are absolutely terrifying. I'm really hoping that I don't lose my ass this week, but first, we'll have a look at last week's results. The weekend started off with PFL World Tournament Finals, where the models were correct on 4 out of 7 wagers, losing 7.8 units. Yeah, that's totally 0.78 units that I lost. I just misread it the first time through. One Fight Night 34 was a very similar story, going 2 for 3 on the card and losing 0.2 of a unit. The final event of the weekend was UFC Vegas 108, which we absolutely smashed. 10 out of 12 fights were predicted correctly for a 12.62 unit profit, which completely dwarfed any losses from Friday. As always, I accepted the weekly bonus on Saturday, this time for 0.88 units. Finally, I got what would usually have been a monthly bonus, but the book has decided to play a little game this month. Instead of accepting a one-time bonus at the beginning of the month, they have split it into 5 consecutive daily bonuses. The first one that I received was for 0.38 units. It isn't much, but if the other 4 are the same size, then the total will be 1.9 units, which will be the most I've ever gotten in a monthly bonus. I don't know if they will continue this in the future, but for now, I'll be keeping each bonus separate in the database. We closed out last week at a new all-time high of 292, and I'm hoping to finally 3x the bankroll with a profit this weekend. We'll start off this card in the women's flyweight division with a bout between Gabriela Fernandez and Julija Stoliarenko. These two are very similar in age and height, but Julija will have a 3-inch reach advantage. Their professional records do favor Fernandez overall, but we can't ignore Stoliarenko's finishing rate with 10 subs out of 11 wins. At the books, Fernandez is a minus 400 favorite, and all 3 models agree. I've placed a 6-unit wager on Gabriela Fernandez in this fight. Next up, at welterweight, we've got Uros Medic taking on Gilbert Urbina. I'll be tuning in early to watch this fight because it is likely to be a banger. Win or lose, Medic has never been to a decision in his career. Urbina does have a more balanced record, but he hasn't seen a decision since 2019. The bookmakers have Medic as a minus 450 favorite, and the models agree. They're not nearly as confident, so if you are looking for a value play, this might be the one. I've made my play on Uros Medic for 6.75 units. Moving right back to the women's divisions, this time at 135, where Priscilla Cachoeira will fight Jocelyn Edwards. Priscilla is notably older and will also be giving up 5 inches in reach, despite being just as tall as Edwards. The models have been correct in each of their last fight, and they believe that Edwards is set to get another win. She is a minus 300 favorite at the books, and all 3 models agree. So I placed a 4.5 unit wager on Jocelyn Edwards. Staying at bantamweight, but this time for a men's matchup between Toshiomi Kazama and Elijah Smith. Smith is the youngest fighter on this card, just a month shy of his 23rd birthday. At only 28, Kazama will be the older fighter by more than 5 years. Toshiomi started his UFC career 0-2, but was able to secure his first win almost exactly 1 year ago. Smith is 2-0 in the promotion, both by unanimous decision within the last year. Elijah is a large minus 700 favorite at the books, and again we see all 3 models agree. I've placed a 10.5 unit bet on Elijah Smith, looking to go 2-0 on his wins. Up next, Rafael Cerqueira will fight Julius Walker at light heavyweight. Walker's only loss is a split decision in his last fight. Unfortunately, his 3 amateur losses also all came by decision. Rafael has only been to a single decision himself, but he did come out of it with a win. Given their past fights, it doesn't seem likely that we will make it to a decision. 13 of their combined 17 wins have been finished in the first round, and both of Hafel's losses were in round one. Coming off of two first-round TKO losses doesn't look good for Cerquieres' chances, and everyone agrees. I've got a 9-unit wager on Julius Walker, and I hope he gets it done early. We'll start the main card at middleweight with a bout between Christian Leroy Duncan and Eric Anders. Anders is the older fighter by more than 8 years, but that brings experience with nearly twice as many fights. Eric's UFC record is only 9-8, but he is currently riding a 2-fight win streak. Duncan has won 3 out of his last 4 and would be on a 2-fight streak of his own with a win on Saturday. The bettors and all 3 models are confident that Christian Leroy Duncan secures the win this weekend, so I've placed an 8.48 unit wager on it. There are a ton of bantamweights on this card. This time, it will be Miles Johns fighting John Matsumoto. There's a 6-year age gap here, but that's not reflected in total experience. Johns has been a pro for nearly 4 years longer, but Matsumoto stayed slightly more active and has nearly as many fights. All 3 models agree on the expected outcome of this fight. They were wrong in John's last time out, but he's no longer undefeated, so the 2025 curse has been lifted. I've bet 4.5 units on John Matsumoto as a -300 favorite. Moving up just a little bit to featherweight, where Andre Fili takes on Christian Rodriguez. Again, we see a pretty sizable age gap, but this time Fili comes in over 34 years old, which MMA On Point identified as the age of decline in younger fighters. Christian will be giving up multiple inches in both height and reach, as well as a metric ton of experience. They'll both be looking to bounce back from a loss earlier this year, and the bettors believe that Rodriguez gets it done. All 3 models are very confident in him as well, so I've put 3.6 units on Christian Rodriguez. In our feature bout, Yasmin Lucindo fights Angela Hill at strawweight. I know we just talked about the age of decline, but Angela Hill might just be immortal. At 40 years old, she has won 3 out of her last 5 outings and earned performance bonuses in 2. This is far and away the largest age gap on the card, and although it doesn't seem to affect women's MMA as much, I'm sure the models consider it quite heavily here. All 3 favor Yasmin Lucindo to win this fight, so I've placed a 3.08 unit wager on her as a -205 favorite. The final bantamweight bout takes place in the co-main event between Steve Erceg and Ode Osborne. Erceg is currently on a 3-fight losing streak, but they came against fighters widely regarded as the best in the division. Ode is coming off of a performance of the night knockout, but is 5-6 in the UFC without nearly the same resume. Ode did take this fight on very late notice, but it could still be make or break for these two. At the books, Steve is a -550 favorite, and without as much confidence, the models all agree. I'm starting to get nervous about all of these heavy favorites, but I'll do what I have to do. 8.25 units on Steve Erceg. We will close out the night at middleweight with a fight between Roman Dolidze and Anthony Hernandez. Dolidze is currently 9-3 in the UFC and on a 3-fight win streak. He's got a lot of finishes in his career, but has been to a decision in 4 of his last 5 fights. Hernandez has won 7 in a row and finished his opponents in 5 of those. The models have been perfect so far when predicting fights for these two, and this time it's leaning towards the favorite. Anthony Hernandez is a -330 at the books, and the models have me placing a 4.95 unit bet on him this weekend. That's all of our fights for this weekend, so let's have a look at how insane these totals are. Of the 11 fights on this card, the prediction models have chosen the favorites on all 11. And it doesn't stop there. Every model agrees on every single fight. It's absolute madness. I've never seen anything like this, and I'm terrified. Because of the current betting strategy, I have an incredible 70% of the bankroll at risk just on this card. Each fight only returns 1.5 units with a win, so the most I can profit is 16.5 units for a 23.7% ROI. A couple of big upsets on this card can do some major damage to my bankroll, so I'm a bit scared. Fortunately, I've been through some big swings in the past, and they just keep shrinking on the graph as the bankroll grows. We've been cashing in big on underdogs recently, so it's clearly time for the favorites to pull us through. Please like and subscribe if you like winning money. And don't forget to check out the Patreon for other promotions, including PFL Africa this weekend. Thanks for watching and good luck on all of your bets this weekend.